This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
And this is Peter Stewart. Hello, welcome to the Planet Reigate podcast, episode 33 for Saturday the 27th of April. The changing face of Reigate on the way, and also we're going to be hearing about Merstham Cricket Club as well. Yeah, our guests, the local estate agents, which is one of the oldest in the country. They've been going since 1817. They've not been bought up by a chain. They've got offices in Reigate and Hawley. I hear the story of local sales and how they've reflected the changes in our towns and how we've lived our lives locally, with one of their senior partners, Andrew Farrant of White & Sons, on the show later. And we hear from several people of several ages at Merstham Cricket Club who are getting ready for the new season. And part two of our story of the man who built the High Trees estate. It's now the home to Dunottar School, but we take up the tale, which involves a bit of a scandal and a fall from grace and a mysterious death as well. In the Good Time Guide this weekend, well, amongst the highlights, you can have a tour of the local nature reserve, which is not usually open to the public. Earlswood Carnival is back for a 7th year. I'll give you more details later. Big local community events at Merstham Station this weekend. Stay tuned for more on that. Plus, a new play gets underway at the Archway Theatre in Hawley. There's a spring exhibition by local artists and an open day at a local water sports adventure centre. In the news, local police have been making Redhill train station safer, improvements at Surrey Fire and Rescue training facilities in Reigate, and historic local church is not under threat of closure apparently, but they still need your help. A local coffee shop with a difference has announced it is closing down. We have the details. Now, is your child a chatterbox? Do they love reading books? Put the two together and an event at a local library could be just for them. A local village has got a new sign. Local goats need new toys. Can you help? And we've got more details of the brand new Reigate Summer Festival in the town in just a few weeks' time. In sport, we feature the local football team in a final match, success in their division for another local team, entries for a local evening 10k are now open. Stay tuned for how you can take part, and free local tennis sessions at a club for juniors. Job opportunities this week featuring an unusual seasonal job. Yeah, in travel, some big road closures coming up. I give you the heads up so you can avoid the hold-ups, and I'll tell you the cheapest local petrol in the area as well. Our stars are from Redhill, and our 60-second soundscape before we go at the end of the show is from Leigh.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast with Peter Stewart.
And don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favourite podcast app. Tell your friends too, and it's great to see a like on social media, but obviously it's much more interesting and much more caring and sharing if you can share any posts you see to your own network of fans, friends and supporters as well. To the post bag then, and got several messages in this week. I posted actually last weekend, I posted one of our 60-second soundscapes, and actually, Rock Fit with the Hardys, Rosie, said this was gorgeous to listen to on a Sunday morning, and Pin said absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, if you're not aware of our 60-second soundscape, it's local natural sound. Before we go at the end of the show, 60 seconds of local sounds. It is what it says on the tin, to be quite honest with you. We have a Planet Reigate microphone somewhere in the Planet Reigate area, and usually it's natural sounds of local wildlife. Could be birds, could be just the wind in the trees, could be things like that. What have we had before? We've had a dog panting after a walk. We've had a light plane go over the area. We've also had some human sounds, skateboarders at Priory Park, for example. Another one was bowling at the light. So just 60 seconds uninterrupted. So you can, well, it's a little bit of mindfulness perhaps, and it's another way that we celebrate all that is fantastic about the area in which we live and work. Crystal Manifestations got in touch with me during the week saying the weekend starts here, happy Friday, and says, I had my first podcast shout out. Thanks, Peter. The smooth voice behind the Planet Reigate Stars. Oh yes, girls, fall at my feet. Thanks for the moon ceremony mention. So thanks very much indeed. It's once they meet me that everything falls apart. But you're very kind. Thank you so much indeed for that. And Catherine bought me a coffee, not in real life, although I do know Catherine. I have met her on several occasions. Lovely lady. And what has happened there is that Catherine heard our mention that you can buy me a coffee, a virtual coffee online. And essentially what that is, it's a kind of tip jar. It's a way of saying, hello, I appreciate the work. I love listening to the Planet Reigate podcast, and I'm going to send you, via my phone, the cost of a cup of coffee. So it's kind of £3, really. Catherine did that, and she says, hi, Peter, have a virtual coffee with me. All the best, Catherine. So if you'd like to do the same,
Support us at buymeacoffee.com/the Planet Reigate podcast.
Yeah, so that's all you need to do. Buymeacoffee.com/the Planet Reigate podcast. And as I say, you can donate straight from your phone, just a couple of quid, either a one-off or make it more regular. And it's just kind of your way of saying, thank you, I like the show. You don't have to, but it's obviously nice if you do, because if you met me in real life, you might buy me a coffee. I don't know. I'd probably buy you one. Oh gosh. With all our hundreds of listeners, I've lined myself up for a fall there, haven't I? So, Catherine, thank you for that. And Jane and Lucy contributed a coffee last week, and also in the recent past, Jonathan as well, and one other person whose name I've forgotten, but thank you, whoever you were. And also, I'd like to tell you where I've been out and about in the Planet Reigate area over the last 7 days or so. So I was at the 7th Reigate Scout Group and their spring fair in Timperley Gardens in Redhill. Last Saturday, met up with Sue and Victoria and several other local people. Thanks, obviously, to everyone who helps out on the day and indeed before it, including these fine people and places, because the event just can't be made possible without these kinds of people, whether it was this particular spring fair or indeed other events around the Planet Reigate area. It's a village, isn't it? It's everyone pulling together. So Timperley Church and Hugo for the donation of cakes. Michelle and Stephen Bourne for some money and some vouchers. Also, Councillor Sue Sinden for running up local businesses. Christine Mann, Vicky Stewart and Bex Beadle, that they're on the organising team. Kerry Weller for the printing. Waterstones for book donations. Kathy Nunn for more books. The Linham family for their donation of raffle prizes. John Rayner for getting the whole area ready, and the various leaders, parents and children as well. And hopefully you raise a lot of money. I actually won a bottle of Baileys. So that was really nice. It was worth going along to. And also I won a chewy drumstick on the hooker duck. So that was well worth going along, and spoke to some fine people there. Also, this last week I've been researching the story in Bletchingley that you'll hear about in a few weeks' time. And I went to the finals of the squash tournaments at Reigate Squash Club as well. Met Sarah and Lisa and Chris, and also the ladies from Stripey Stalk at the club's chosen charity for the year. And just ahead of the Good Time Guide, I wanted to mention the potential closure of Marks & Spencer's in Redhill, as we heard on Wednesday afternoon. The future is in doubt. The company has started a consultation. The Belfry Shopping Centre says it's surprised, it's sad, it wishes staff well, but is confident for the future. And of course, all of our thoughts are with the staff there who work at the Marks & Spencer's. Marks & Sparks, M&S, whatever you like to call it. whenever it was the last time you went in there, and we wish them all the very best at this very uncertain time. Obviously, it's so difficult anyway, isn't it, with financial issues in many families and homes across the area, particularly if your job is at threat. So M&S has been looking at all of its stores' future. 18 months ago, in October 2022, it said it wanted to focus on food-only stores, like the one there is, of course, in Reigate. It announced it would close 67 locations over the next 5 years, so we're obviously 18 months into that. It wants to close 110 sites in total. The Belfry has been told one of those could be the Redhill store, and M&S Redhill have been talking to local staff about the potential closure. So where else are there M&S stores? Well, at least until recently, Crawley, Reigate, Dorking, Epsom, Sutton, Croydon, and inevitably some of those are facing closure. Marks and Sparks has been part of the Belfry for 33 years, and the Belfry saying it's really surprised at the news because visitor numbers are back above those experienced before COVID. We've reported several times on the programme about the amount of footfall, the amount of expenditure, the new people coming in, particularly because of the light at the Belfry in the town centre, because of the various experience events that have been held, the Big Top pantomime as well, all bringing people into the centre. There was a new kind of sense of vibrancy and vitality in the area. But I know that the experienced Redhill team, Andy Nash at the Belfry and also the people at the Light, they all work really closely together with the people from the Redhill Business Guild, all banding together to try and really give Redhill a big boost. And indeed, the Belfry itself, 4 new independent stores have recently opened in the centre. We've reported on those over the course of the last few weeks, just a handful of weeks. At one stage we were announcing them every single week. So we really hope that another new store is going to be coming into Marks and Spencer's. And of course, it has been known that there was the possibility of Marks and Spencer's closing at the Belfry, as I say, since October 2022. I reckon Andy Nash and his team have already been putting out feelers, and other big names will have been approaching the Belfry to see what the situation would be, what kind of rent, what kind of space, what kind of access and facilities, what kind of deals can be struck, whether they wanted 1 floor or 2 floors. So I reckon that Andy Nash and the team down there at the Belfry are probably well on the way to initial talks, at the very least. Some names in the frame, some people they can now go back to say, OK, we now know this is really likely to happen. Can we strike a deal? Let's get this sorted out. Some reaction on social media has been overwhelmingly sad right across the board. People have been saying it would be awful news for Redhill. Yeah, it would be. Of course it would be. But now's the time to be really positive, to talk up the fantastic town that Redhill is. Chris says if it closes, B&M or Home Bargains on 1 floor, Primark on the other. There's certainly a view about that, isn't there? That's not bad at all. And also, we got another message in from Daniel that says, fingers crossed they just move into one of the other units and keep it as just a food hall rather than losing them completely. Robin says it really would be a shame. I know there was talk about focusing more on their food lines, as that seems to be where they're doing really well. It's a shame that the food court couldn't maybe expanded over more of the ground floor, but leaving space on the first floor for a number of clothing ranges. I'm sure all of these ideas are ones that have been considered, but it's really great to get the viewpoint of people on the ground, the actual shoppers, the people that contribute their money and their feet to the Belfry and surrounding shops. Another message here, I do agree that clothing retailers in the town are limited. We do need to see if a retailer would be available to step in if this does actually happen. Another message here from Rachel. She says, working from home and reduced number of offices in Redhill has had an impact. Redhill needs to attract a mix of shoppers offering low price consumables as well as higher quality goods, which is reflected in the prices. Such a mix of shops, and without this, the new food places won't survive either. Well, as I'm reading those, more and more messages coming in on social media. It's been quite a while since that information broke. our thoughts, again, to first and foremost the people that work at Marks and Spencer's Redhill, also the team at the Belfry, Andy Nash and his colleagues, also at the Light, also at Experience Redhill, and also at the Redhill Business Guild. I know that there's going to be all sorts of meetings being set up, phone calls will have been going on, emails will have been exchanged to see how that town can pull together, pick itself up by the bootstraps. It's not all over, there's everything to fight for. Redhill is such a fantastic place, such a brilliant, vibrant destination, and we can't wait to bring you news of new stores going into Redhill Belfry in the not too distant future. Our fingers are crossed. We've got every expectation Andy Nash is going to pull this out of the bag. Redhill, you've got this, and you've got our full support here on the Planet Redhill podcast.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
And please get in touch with something which is happening in your neck of the woods. Maybe it's a concert, or maybe it's a group event, maybe it's an art show. It could be an appeal for people to come and join you in any way, shape or form. Get in touch with me and I'll spread the word right across the Planet Reigate area. And you know what? I was speaking to someone in the week and I said, what do you like about the Planet Reigate podcast? And they said, we love the Good Time Guide. And then she paused and said, you know what, I'm of a certain age and I'm probably never going to be going to any of these events. Although, sidebar, I don't know why, because there's such a range of activities, but that's what she'd said, and she'd decided. She said, but I love knowing that they're there. I love knowing what other people are up to. And I love knowing how vibrant our Planet Reigate area is. So, this is what it's all about, isn't it? You may not go to these events, hopefully you do, but even if you don't, you know they're on, and you know how fantastic it is to live and love this neck of the woods. Right, okay, let's move on then. And first of all, there's an invitation to visit Fraser Down Nature Reserve on Pebble Hill, Saturday 10 till 12:30. Now, Simon Humphries is the voluntary reserve manager. He's going to be doing a guided walk at the Surrey Wildlife Trust's nature reserve there. It's a stunning nature reserve. You may not have heard about it because it's not normally open to the public. Now, I reckon that round about now, there's going to be maybe some cowslips out, maybe some early butterflies on the wing. So if you want to go along and see those and lots of other things, then you can sign up, and you do that by emailing simonhinsurrey@gmail.com, and then Simon will send you the details about where to meet, where to park, that kind of thing. But he has said that the ground is steep and uneven in places, so if you're a bit unsteady on your pins, you may want to think twice about that. But that sounds a very rare occurrence that you can go along to. Bletchfest's annual April Comedy Night is back with a star-studded lineup, headlined by TV's Hal Cruttenden. You can go along there and you can laugh your head off, or indeed your socks off, whichever end of the body you prefer to lose. There's a fully licensed bar, plenty of free parking. It's going to be a great evening, I'm sure. So it's Saturday, doors open at 7, Bletchingley Village Hall on the High Street there for their comedy night. The Earlswood Carnival is back for the 7th year as a fundraising for Earlswood's 2nd Reigate Scout Group. So Saturday, Woodlands Road Green, 2 till 5, including a mini garden competition for the kids. And you can make a garden on a plate or a tray out of Lego or Play-Doh or plants and all sorts of things. It can feature, I don't know, dragons, fairies, all sorts, doesn't matter. And it's going to be judged with someone called Peter from the Planet Reigate podcast, along with Renee from The Girl Who Gardens and Eco Earlswooder, help bringing it all together as well. So hopefully see you there Saturday afternoon. Let's give it another big plug. Woodlands Road Green, 2 till 5, Earlswood Carnival, all powered by Eco Earlswood. There's a walk on Saturday, Reigate Heath. You park in the car park either side of Flanchford Road. You walk to Betchworth alongside the River Mole and back via Rice Bridge. Fairly flat walk, around about 6 miles. So that's going to take you, a couple of 3 hours, I suppose. Start at 10, finish at 1. Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? And the contact details, Robert is organising it, 07967 002 126. And it is dog friendly. On Sunday, the Earlswood Farmers Market is back, it being the last Sunday of the month. A small market that supports local growers and makers and producers of food, 10 till 2 at the Marquis of Granby pub in Earlswood. And you're also invited to join in community events on Sunday at Merstham Station between 11 and 2. There's going to be all sorts of things going on. How about this? Planting bee-friendly flowers and installing stepping stones and a bench, litter picking and creating colourful planting on station approaches, a tidy up and weeding of Merstham rail station planters, free bike check and bike register by Sunstrands, and free refreshments for all volunteers. So that sounds good, doesn't it? It's courtesy of the Pizza Project. So please try and let us know if you're coming, because we've got to register anyone on the railway land a couple of days in advance. And also, there's going to be all sorts of other things going on as well. So if you want some more information, programme is featured on growingredhill.co.uk, admin at growingredhill.co.uk. And one more from me for this part of the Good Time Guide. Yeah, it's only a few days before the Pregnancy Sound Bath event. It's going to be an opportunity to meet other mums-to-be, as well as truly relax and unwind with meditation and sound bath relaxation. Taking place Sunday, Donnings, 2:30 to 4:30, and you can get in touch with Rebecca. If you want some more details of Rebecca's contact details, get in touch with me and I'll pass them on to you, so we all know that you're going to be turning up.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com.
Okay, and the Planet Reigate podcast's Good Time Guide is back a little bit later on in the show, because what's going to be happening then is we're going to be leading you through what's going to be happening Monday through to next Saturday across the best bit of Britain on the Planet Reigate podcast.
From Reigate and Redhill, Buckland, Betchworth and Brockham. Great stories from places you love and people you know. This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
Those great stories each and every week on the Planet Reigate podcast. For example, have you checked out The Collective? It's a pop-up shop on Reigate's High Street. I say pop-up, it's I think it's just had its lease renewed for another couple of months, so congratulations to them. But it's full of unusual gifts, many made by local people, arts, crafts, homeware, clothes, even lampshades and wooden boxes. You never know what you're going to find there. And of course, because there's so many different contributors and suppliers, it's different every time you go in. We heard what's in store, quite literally, back in episode 12. And Reigate Rose's Netball Club, Alice, Natalie and Amber talked to us about the club and their passion for the game in episode 13. So you'll be able to find those episodes on our page on your favourite podcast app. Later on, before we go, at the end of the show, a natural sound from a place you know, our 60-second soundscape from Leigh. And also, don't forget that we have news and sport and jobs and travel and weather together on the Planet Reigate podcast as well. Later on, we're going to be hearing about what was on the Reigate Morrison's site before Morrison's. Do you remember? Well, okay, it was Safeways, but before that, any idea? Later on in the show, one of the top men and one of the UK's oldest estate agents, Andrew Farrant, is from White & Sons. They got branches in Hawley, another one on Reigate's High Street, just by the old town hall there. He's got a really good overview, weighing up the difference between our town and that town up the road. You know, the one that begins with a D. I can't mention the name because you know what happens if I do. And also, he's going to be telling us what it is about. What's the difference between Reigate and Dorking as far as the offer goes from the two councils and the two high streets, and therefore how that is reflected in local property prices. I Did say property prices, that pricked up your ears, doesn't it? And also what it is about the Planet Reigate area that makes it so attractive to live and work in. And, as I say, on the way in the news, a local coffee shop with a difference is closing down, but an historic local church apparently is not under threat of closure. We untangle those stories a little bit later on.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast with Peter Stewart.
So how did Reigate develop since the war? What was the influence of big business coming to the area? And how did that affect the price of a house? And what did Reigate do that Dorking didn't, that caused our town to surge ahead in popularity and pass our neighbouring town up the road? My first guest this week is Andrew Farrant, senior partner at local estate agents White & Son, one of the oldest estate agent businesses in the whole country. So, when did White & Son start?
1817 we started, so 2 years after Waterloo.
There might even still be some properties that Mr. White sold, which are still around at the moment.
Absolutely. It's not Reigate, but the Burford Bridge. James White sold that.
I think Nelson stayed at Burford Bridge, didn't he, with Lady Hamilton? Is that the story before the Battle of Trafalgar?
To comment, but possibly, who knows?
I think I read. And also I think you were involved with the sale of Polesden Lacey,
Yes,
which people
correct.
all know,
Yep.
and also involved with the sale of the Dolphin Pub
Yes.
as well, which is in our area that people will know. So you're going from really grand stuff to really be kind of basic community buildings.
Totally, and their possessions, because back in the day, James White wouldn't have called himself an estate agent, he was the town auctioneer.
I know you've got an agricultural arm, so you still are selling farms, farm properties, those kinds of businesses as well.
Yes, we are more than just an estate agent, and then we are agricultural experts. We do commercial, block management, lettings, planning as a specialism as well, and they all interlink. But we've got third generation families and landowners that we've acted for a long time. The landowner, farmer will need specialist advice, but they may have a couple of cottages on the estate which we let for them, and the tumble down pigsty in the corner of the southeastern field actually has got development potential screaming at you, so we as planning experts will get a consent to turn it into a residential unit, which we'll subsequently let. So a lot of it interlinks.
What's it like selling property in Surrey at the moment?
Property is cyclical, and the desirability is there, but when the confidence is drained out of the market, you get a pause in the volume of transactions.
There's always going to be a problem, isn't there? Because there are more people want property, more people want to live in a nice area like Reigate and Betchworth and Brockham and so on in the Surrey Hills, and yet they don't actually want houses built in the green belt on those fields which surround those lovely towns and villages.
It is actually local authorities and local people that is the biggest hindrance to planning.
So yeah, they don't want to
unless they're going to be heavily financially induced. Nobody ever wanted anything built in their backyard, and likewise it's the death warrant of any politician to put through a big planning application because they'll get voted out next time round. So short-termism and NIMBYism is alive and well in politics when it comes to planning.
This part of the world did have a lot of building, didn't it, back in the 20s and 30s between the wars, and also, of course, straight after the Second World War as well. What kind of places were they going to? I'm guessing Redhill particularly grew up in that time.
There was huge development after the war, and necessary redevelopment. A lot of people coming out of the cities. I mean, you look what happened to London in the war, and a lot of people came here. And I suppose we were going through a population explosion as well. Woodhatch is a classic example of a large area of development in Reigate.
How have you seen Reigate particularly develop, the Reigate Redhill area develop over the last few years? What's been the key to its success?
I've seen colossal change in Reigate. I started there as a senior negotiator, was my grand title, in 1993. The Telegraph newspaper cited Reigate as one of the most down-at-heel, depressing towns in the southeast. It was tumbleweed up the high street, but two significant things happened. One absolutely attributable to Reigate and Banstead Borough Council, and they had the vision to put Safeways into the middle of the town, which other neighbouring towns have been resistant to that fairly radical step, and created obviously the big parking area right in the middle of the town. and the link up through Cage Yard into the middle of the high street. And I remember being really excited. I bought my first sandwiches or whatever it was on the opening day of Safeways, and the town changed from that day forth. Before I came to work for White & Sons, I was working for an estate agent in Dorking. And Dorking prices were 5% at least above Reigate, and then actually the poorer relation was Redhill, and Redhill prices were 5% below Reigate. So there was a clear step downward as you headed east. But that's changed diametrically now. Reigate is significantly more expensive in house value terms than Dorking now. The regeneration of Priory Park, again, fantastic. What a lovely place. You look at the activities there on a Saturday morning, the sports clubs, the running events. It's a family-orientated place. Also the relocation of Pfizer.
So that's just up at Walton Heath.
Pfizer relocated to Walton Oaks, and they were all on relocation packages and looking at the map, where should we come and live? Well, Reigate's a nice market town. So it was almost every other sale for a 12-month period was to a Pfizer employee. And it just brought a lot of new, enthusiastic, younger money into the town.
The links are superb.
London Bridge, Redhill, I think 28 minutes. It's fantastic.
Tell me then finally how White & Son moves on. What is the next big challenge for an estate agency such as yours that's been around for a couple of 100 years? Your shop just up there by the old town hall. I know, because I've written to all of them. 27 estate agents in Reigate and Redhill.
Some of the basics in property as an industry are completely unchanged, and if James White, who would now be about 300 years old, if he was sitting in this room with us, he would understand the basics. Good local connection, involvement in the community, reputation, service, decent hard work and professionalism. None of that has changed, and nor will it change. People will happily buy a car from Cinch or other online services. You'll see a house that you'll want, and you'll get as far as arranging a viewing without any human interaction. But actually, when it comes to really talking the numbers and understanding, being able to appreciate the benefits of the clubs, services, transport, all the good things that a good town and community offer, actually you do need the involvement of human beings and human interaction. And I don't see that changing. There's lots of talk about AI, but you still need to see the whites of someone's eyes, and people fundamentally need their hand-holding. What is changing really fast is how we communicate and attract new business from a client's point of view, from a buyer's point of view, landlords, tenants, all the touch points we have. That is really fast moving. So it's points of contact, Peter. Fundamentals unchanged.
I really enjoyed speaking with Andrew Farrant from White & Sons, and also Jenny. Jenny, thanks so much indeed for setting that up as well for us. It was great to go along and, as I say, speak with Andrew. Goats are going to be featured on the way on our Planet Reigate podcast and our new sequence, which is upcoming right now. Also, we're going to be giving you much more information about the brand new Reigate Summer Festival in the town in just a few weeks' time. And also still to come, hear from half a dozen players in the Merstham Cricket Club family. They are on the way, and our usual job opportunity as well, and travel and weather together on the Planet Reigate podcast. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart. So these are some of our kind of news stories during the course of the week. You may have spied police dogs Mace and Marvin at Redhill train station last weekend, using their detective skills to sniff out controlled substances. Working alongside British Transport Police, they were looking to stop dealers bringing large quantity of drugs into one of our hometowns. And indeed, various drugs were seized. Class A and B drugs seized from over 20 people. 11 people were arrested on suspicion of various offences. Count them down: drug dealing, shoplifting, immigration offences and breaches of community protection notices as well. Also in the news, an historic investment has been approved to improve Surrey Fire and Rescue Services training facilities in Reigate. The approval has come from Surrey County Council's Cabinet, so it means the single largest investment in training in frontline staff in the fire services history. I mean, it's not specifically a Reigate story, but obviously, as you know, Surrey Fire and Rescue are HQ'd in our market town, just up there at Ray Park, aren't they? So they're going to be improving improving the main training facilities, the firehouse and so on. And it's all because the current facilities, they've just got kind of too old. It's one of those situations where they need regular repairs and maintenance, and also they're a bit out of date. They don't actually meet modern firefighting standards. Inefficiency to operate at and keep up, maintain as well. So these improvements will aim to ensure that firefighters have access to state-of-the-art resources to complete statutory training requirements for safety and efficiency. So all sorts of things are going to be upgraded. Working at height facilities, live fire behaviour, use of breathing apparatus and operations in confined spaces. I've been to the Ray Park Surrey Fire HQ estate several times, but not for a long time. And they often have kind of open days there, I think, don't they? So I must get along to the next one there. I'd like to kind of see behind the scenes. And as I reported in last week's programme, Reigate Police are due to be moving there as well, while their police station is out of action because of RAC. Now, they're not going to have any front desk facilities there, so you won't be able to go in and, pass in your driving licence if you've been caught out. But that's where they're going to be operating from. An historic church in Betchworth is not under threat of closure. There was a post on social media, which may have seen it over the last week or so. It kind of suggested that St Michael's was at risk of closure within weeks because they didn't have a church warden. But the Diocese of Suffolk has kind of clarified things a little bit and said there's no expectation that the church would actually need to close. However, a decision on the future of services would be made by the end of May. Well, what's a church without services? So I can understand where both sides of this are kind of coming from. The church is actually without a warden. Now, this is the main thing, without a church warden. That's a voluntary role, usually held by a parishioner, and they help in the day-to-day running of the building and services. And the diocese says it's simply not possible to keep up the number of services without a church warden. And currently the services are fortnightly Holy Communion, but there's no expectation that St Michael's would actually need to close. The number of services just would be less frequent. But it is hoped that a suitable church warden may be found to keep services at their current level. Plenty of support, incidentally, for that role of church warden will be given. So if you can help, or if you've got a suggestion, you can contact Reverend Prue Dully on 07837 029 469, 07837 029 469. So sad to hear in the week that West Central in Redhill Town Centre is closing. That they've been such a force for good, haven't they, with their amazing lunches and friendly coffee shop. So this is a notice that they gave to customers in the week. We want you to know that West Central, our coffee shop here at Christ Central, will be closing on the 9th of May. For over 11 years, West Central has been more than just a coffee shop. It's been a cornerstone in our community and the front door to the church. After a lot of prayer, church story coming up again. After a lot of prayer and consideration, the church has made this difficult decision for two main reasons. Firstly, Christ Central would like to reimagine what it does here in order to have an even greater impact on Redhill. And secondly, despite the dedication and hard work of many people, including our largely volunteer team, running West Central is currently financially unsustainable for the church. It goes on, although West Central will no longer operate as a coffee shop, Christ Central will be continuing to run events and ministries here, so don't be surprised if you see the space being used when you walk past. We'd like to thank you for your continued support and happy to answer any questions you may have. And there was another letter sent out to some of the customers which said, firstly, Joe and I would like to start by saying thank you for being such lovely customers and so loyal to West Central over the past 11 years. Having customers like yourselves has really helped us enjoy working here. We love being able to have a good chat with you and put the world to rights. West Central has grown so much over the last 11 years, and we want to say thank you for being part of our amazing journey. Without you and your support, it wouldn't have been the same. With much love and coffee breath kisses from Mandy and Joe. and quite a reaction on social media. Someone here saying, absolutely devastated and emotional to receive this letter today about the closure of West Central. This place has been a safe haven for me, my son and so many other people. It's a close community where everyone creates friendships, and I'm sad to learn of the decision to close despite this positive effect. Thank you, Mandy, Joe and all the volunteers for making this place so special over the last couple of years for me. So if you've been involved in any which way with that particular initiative, and bring it community again, isn't it? And bringing the community together, whether you went along, whether you volunteered, whatever it happens to be, best wishes, good luck, and thank you. And maybe we'll be talking about you and your next initiative sometime soon on the Planet Reigate podcast. Okay, let's move on to a couple of lighter stories now, because we've got a story here about your child. Well, specifically your child, if they enjoy reading and chatting, and they're between 7 and 11. Hawley Library is setting up, and I love this name, you're going to love it as well, I'm sure, the Chatterbooks group. Yeah, not Chatterbox, but Chatterbooks. We're launching a free reading group for children 7 to 11 at Hawley Library. We'll meet once a month on a Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11:30 and talk about a different book each time and have fun with quizzes and crafts. So if your child wants to become a member of that group, you need to register their details at the help desk in the library or via Hawley Library events at surreycc.gov.uk. Well, if you're heading a little bit further south from Reigate and Redhill, down towards Hawley, then you may want to look out for a brand new entrance sign to Iron's Bottom at Sidlow. It's one of those white wooden 5-barred gate designs. Yeah, Salfords and Sidlow Parish Council have put it up. Well, together with a team from 365 Landscapes, Matt specifically. It just kind of helps improve the area, doesn't it? Because you can do things like the litter picks and mow the grass appropriately at the right time of the season, being aware of wildflowers and nesting birds and butterflies and that kind of thing, quite genuinely. But also, it's really lovely to see those white wooden kind of 5-barred gate designs when you go into a new area, when you go into a village and so on. So that's going to really set off that entrance to Iron's Bottom at Sidlow. I'm going to look out for that one next time I'm passing through. Carrington School in Redhill say, can you help us? We're excited that the Carrington goats are arriving soon, and we want to find some of these large cable drums to add interest to their enclosure. They're playful and they love to climb and explore. We've spoken about the goats at Carrington before because they've got an animal care course. That's why they're getting them, which obviously is fantastic for the students to have those kind of responsibilities. We did it as a job spot, didn't we? About 3 or 4 weeks ago. They wanted someone to kind of oversee the animals and the husbandry and the kids and the feeding and the care for and all that kind of thing. So those goats are actually arriving, and they want some of those, those huge cable drums that you can get at, I don't know, 1.5 meters kind of wide, aren't they? And so the goats can clamber on them and so on and have fun. So if you know of anyone that's kind of got those, it's a little bit niche, isn't it? Then get in touch with Carrington School because they'd love those for the goat area. I'm wondering what else they could have for the goat area. I'm thinking that these billy goats could have some kind of bridge that they can cross over, and then you could have some kind of trolls under. No, okay. Rebecca says 150 entries, 45 classes, and a shining sun. Thank you so much for making our first Nutfield Spring show such a success. Absolutely, that's a resounding success. And the posters were brilliant and the attendance was great as well. Congratulations to everyone, whether you are an exhibitor or an organiser for the Nutfield Spring show. Reigate Caves Open Days page is up and lively, and you can book your places for the next tour, which is going to be on the 11th of May. That's the opening day. If you've not been down the Reigate Caves, been a couple of 3 times. I remember going last year with some really good friends, and you know what? There were a couple of people in our party who were kind of not not interested in caves and underground. And we got down there, and it's cavernous. And these were people who lived in Reigate, some of them all of their lives. They didn't know they were there, and they're so deep and cavernous and interesting, and the stories behind them, and what you're now underneath, and so on. And we all went away thinking, gosh, who knew this was underneath our feet? Well, the people who do know are the staff. They're unpaid volunteers. It's a non-profit organisation. If you've not been under one of the two sets of, I was going to say you don't go under the caves. If you've not been into the caves, there are two sets of them. There's ones in Tunnel Road and there's ones a little bit further out towards the castle grounds. Then why don't you book up? Go to regatecaves.org.uk. I've got some other friends of mine, and their relations who are up near Manchester want to come down specifically to go to the caves in Reigate. They've heard about the Reigate caves. They're intrigued and enthralled in equal measure, and they want to come down specifically to go to the Reigate caves. And then, I guess, look at some of the other fantastic things that we have to offer in our brilliant town. Okay, so I spoke about this previously on the show, and that's about the Reigate Summer Festival, didn't I? So I reckon we need to give you a little bit of information about what the Reigate Summer Festival is all about, what you can see, where you can get more information. So we'll do that right here, right now, on the Planet Reigate podcast. Yeah, the Reigate Summer Festival is a celebration of the town's creativity, a weekend of free entertainment for the local community and beyond, pulling together creative and cultural talent into one unmissable event in and around the town centre. Hear more about it in episode 31. So when I'm talking about creative and cultural talent, tick these off. Music, almost as a given, isn't it? You know, for an arts weekend, you're going to have music, and you're going to have drama, and you're going to have dance. There's also going to be comedy, and there's going to be film in Reigate. That's going to involve the everyman, surely. There's going to be art. There's going to be literature. There's going to be history. This is good, isn't it? So what have we got? 6, 7, 8 different strands there, and I'm sure some of those are going to be really pushing the boundaries with the offer as well. So the Reigate Summer Festival is going to be around two main stages and a fringe trail. So there's going to be the tunnel stage. Wonder where that is. Hold on, it says here, Tunnel Road. I see what they did. That's going to be the focal point of the festival. And then there's going to be the community stage inside the church on the High Street, which is, it's just down there from Marks and Spencer's, isn't it? Yeah, just there. And then, as I say, a fringe trail. What it means by that is various other venues around the town centre in Reigate where you can kind of drop in because things are going to be popping up. That was a good line. Just came to me off the top of my head. Drop in, they'll pop up. So, pubs, cafes, community spaces, different events during different times right across the weekend. I'm aware I haven't told you the dates yet. That information is upcoming. So, there's going to be places like Reigate Community Centre, the Everyman Cinema, as previously advertised, Pilgrim Brewery, The Cage, Waterstones, Reigate Library. You can picture all of these as I'm mentioning them, can't you? Cafe Nero, the Market Stores and Banana Tree, Dish Ceramics, the Corso Lounge, Gale's Bakery, it goes on. This is fantastic. Adam's Gallery, the Red Cross Inn, the Bull's Head, of course the pubs are going to be involved, the Bell and the Ivory Lounge, and also Number 9 Piano Bar as well. So let me run through, there's so many events, I can't run through all of them right here, right now, but I can give you some idea of the kind of breadth, as well as a whole load of local artists, local bands, local groups, local singers, local acoustic sessions. There's also going to be storytelling. There's going to be Reigate St Mary's Choristers, the U3A Choir, Student Bands Night, Reigate College, the schools, and Reigate and Redhill Music and Drama Festival. Oh, we're media partners, aren't we, with the Reigate and Redhill Music and Drama Festival. There's going to be book signings with local authors. Have a little look down here, scroll. Historical photographic display, that'll be the arts then. Everyman Cinema Reigate with a special screening. Jazz and Smooth Sounds stage, the Reigate School of Ballet, members of South Nutfield Choral Society. Oh, South Nutfield Choral Society, they are going to be my guests on next week's show. Yeah, episode 34. South Nutfield Choral Society. That's good, isn't it? That's synchronicitous. Is that the right word? Woodsy. Well, Woodsy is going to be appearing. Now, Woodsy was a guest of mine in episode 28 of the show. So all of this is going on. As a drop-in DJ, just spotted that as well. So all of this is going on over the course of Father's Day weekend. So you want some more information, you want to know where to go, and you want to be able to browse the itinerary so you can plan your weekend? Well, I'm pleased and proud to say that the Planet Reigate podcast is an official media partner of the Reigate Summer Festival in and around Reigate High Street between the 14th and the 16th of June. Yeah, the Reigate Summer Festival is a celebration of the town's creativity, a weekend of free entertainment for the local community and beyond. For more information and tickets, go to reigatesummerfestival.co.uk. Let's move on to our sports sequence then, and huge congratulations to the senior team at Royal Earlswood FC, because they played immensely last Saturday to reach the final of the Tester Cup after a resounding 8-1 win. 8-1, guys, over local rivals, Reigate Priory A. So a bit of a kind of local derby there. Looking forward to the final, they say. Can't wait. Well, well done to both sides, but you know, it has to be, obviously, most well done to Royal Earlswood, who beat Reigate Priory A 8-1. Now, talking about which, Reigate Priory FC reserves are Mid-Sussex Division 1 champions. Yeah. Congratulations. Now, this is the moment they celebrated with champagne on their Instagram feed. Entries for the summer evening 10K organised by Reigate Priory Athletics Club are now open. It's a 10K through the lovely countryside around Reigate, popular annual fixture, so please enter early, they say. Summer10k.com for more information. So it's all happening Wednesday the 3rd of July at 7:30. Fees will be £16 and various other prices, in fact, for various days and when you register and such like. But visit summer10k.com for information and to register. And the draw is just 4 weeks away. They've already got 60 teams entered in this year's Hawley Lions Skittles tournament. So that event is on the 3rd of June. It's a great community event. It's all about community here on the Planet Reigate podcast. And this year supporting the local charity Young Epilepsy. So lots of details to pass on to you. Nightly separate competitions with a team prize. June the 3rd through to June the 7th. Play starts at 7 p.m. at Hawley Cricket Club. Nightly barbecue and bar facilities. So essentially get together a team of just 6 and pay your £36 and join in the fun. So recruit friends, neighbours, field team of 6, enemies if you like, as long as there's a team of 6. No skill required, that's lucky. All we ask, they say, is you enjoy yourselves. So how about that? Hawley Lions Skittles Week. If you want some more information, then the person to contact is P. Moxley. So letter P and then Moxley at sky.com for a team application form. Redhill Lawn Tennis Club have got a really good deal going on if you've got kids. A great initiative there at the club on Linkfield Lane. It's free junior sessions, 5 till 6 p.m. Fridays, if a child joins the club, which costs £3.50 a month. Well, that's a bargain, isn't it? Join the session and someone will email you with details. It's all been organised by Boom Tennis. Redhill, I don't think it's sponsored by the radio station. Redhill Tennis Club at RH1. Fridays 5 till 6 junior sessions, games, fun and hitting, it says. Hello at boomtennis.co.uk.
The Planet Reigate podcast. Great stories from Merstham.
The Planet Reigate podcast. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart. We love to cover a variety of local events here on the Planet Reigate podcast. The shows and exhibitions, groups and concerts, talks and walks, and all sorts of sports. It's what brings people together, isn't it? Sport. More than a community, very often a family. We've heard so often about how a sports team, a club, a group or a society has pulled together when people have been in trouble. Last week we had a couple of interviews about Reigate Volleyball Club. We've also heard from local netball and football clubs. Last week I was down at Reigate Squash Club and hear an interview with them soon, and also one from the Reigate Priory Lawn Tennis Club as well. We've also mentioned bowls, skittles, water sports, swimming, running, various martial arts, the list goes on. And this week it's my pleasure to bring you several guests from Merstham Cricket Club. Now, usually I may chat to one person or two, but at MCC I went along and there were 7. Why? Because they were all so keen to tell me the part they play in building a community at the clubhouse just off Quality Street. And I started off talking with Richard, who told me that this year is a big anniversary year for everyone at Merstham Cricket Club.
This year is 160 years, so I've been involved in the club personally for the last probably 40 years. We now have 6 adult teams on a Saturday playing Leigh cricket, 2 on a Sunday. We've got 23 junior teams, we've got 3 women's teams, 3 girls teams this year. We've got walking cricket and we've got disability cricket. But we are massively about community and what we do in the community. We did the food banks during lockdown, which we still do for Stripey Stalk, Loveworks and St Matthew's Food Bank as well. We go into the local schools and do some coaching there as well. At the moment I'm in discussions with the football club and trying to link with them. At the moment there's a conversation about us playing them at football and them coming to play us at cricket as well.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So that could be quite good and could be possibility of dual memberships between the 2 clubs. So
Now, we're in your clubhouse at the moment and looking around, there's some old photographs and so on. Tell me a bit about the history, because you started back in 1864. How did it start? What were those early days like? I'm not suggesting you were there, but there must be documents and old minutes from meetings and things about how it all started.
there was an old pavilion down in the bottom corner of our field, which is 2 thatched pavilions down there.
So this is down Quality Street in Merstham?
Still down Quality Street, we've been here the whole time. The field to our right, which has got our second field ground on, was a horse field. The golf club's now in its 20th year.
Those people back in the 1800s would be really surprised at the younger players. The older players would come to walking cricket as well. That's a new thing. So let's move over to one of those younger players. Jaden is with me. Hello, sir.
Oh, hello.
Hi, how old are you?
13.
Okay, so what got you into cricket?
It was really my dad. He wanted me to do another sport.
What do you get out of cricket?
I prefer it more than football, and it's just funner for me. I think it's because I'm better at cricket.
Oh, well, that helps, doesn't it? If you're good at something, you're going to enjoy it more. That makes absolutely sense. I was daft, wasn't I, suggesting it was something else? Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're pretty good at cricket.
I'd like to think so, yeah. I'm the captain for the under-13s.
Well, let's hear it for Jaden, I think. Yeah, everybody here. Yeah, let's hear it for what does it mean to you to come along, whether you're practising or playing a match? What do you get out of that?
I think it's just the community. Everyone's there and you can interact with people.
Thank you, Jaden. Thank you very much indeed. Your dad, John, is here as well. It's a family thing. This has been going through your family, hasn't it,
Yes.
to join the local cricket club?
Yes, it has. We moved from Australia in sort of 1980, so I guess that's where the sort of love of cricket came. And my brothers have all played down here, like I say, from the 1980s. I probably started about 1990. The key point and the really nice point is there's still people involved in the club.
That's good, because you don't want a swathe of people coming into you and taking over and chucking out the old guard. You need that longevity as well as a churn of new people.
Exactly. It's kind of just knitting it all together. There is such a massive community spirit and spirit within the club, and everyone chipping in and helping out, and there's lots of sort of things happening outside of off the pitch So,
And also you need, don't you, lots of volunteers. It's not just the people who are playing in their cricket wides, but it's also people behind the scenes, it's the grounds people, or people in the clubhouse sweeping up after a Saturday afternoon.
and everyone chips in, everyone, as you say, it's all volunteered. It's just really good fun. It's a really good place to be, and Jayden spends nearly every day of the summer here. You know, he'd rather be here than anywhere else. And I guess selfishly for me, it gives me a brilliant excuse to play Saturdays and Sundays, because Jayden always wants to be down here, and my other half's also involved in the club.
I love it that the club is supporting, as we heard a bit earlier on, things like Love Works and Stripey Stalk, but looking at it from the other point of view, you also need support from other companies and organisations and businesses to keep things running as well. Ali is one of the sponsors.
Hi.
Hello, sir. What is your company? If you're good enough to sponsor the cricket club, let's give you a plug as well.
So originally I was a player here, but I also run a company providing home-to-school transport for disabled children, and we sponsor the disability cricket here. I've been here for about 15 years or so. I kind of felt that Merstham was the most welcoming out of all of the clubs I've played at, and it's the reason that I've got both my kids into the cricket here as well. When I was playing cricket at a younger age, I felt a lot of pressure, and the environment over here is very welcoming, very friendly. My son's 3 years younger than Jayden, and whenever Jayden's down here, my son's here, they'll have a little play together. And my daughter's played some cricket here as well, and again, she integrated really well in. So it's very, very welcoming. A couple of years ago during Ramadan, we held a evening fast here, where a lot of people from different areas of the club came in, and we all broke fast together. It was welcomed by the club, and it's something that we will carry on doing. Got a young lad who used to play here who fell ill. The whole club has been working really hard to support him. We've had several fundraising events here this year. We did a whole tennis ball cricket tournament at the Merstham's other ground, which was a massive success, and we raised a lot of money. So it's a place that allows you to feel really, really comfortable. If you come down here on a Friday evening and you see the number of kids, the car park's full, there's food, there's people in the clubhouse helping out, and both grounds are full of children being coached left, right and centre. We've got a hall here which, as a business, I use the clubhouse for doing our first aid training and for doing our company training for our staff as well.
And again, that brings money into the club.
Absolutely, absolutely. And from the first time I joined this, the clubhouse was very small. We had 2 little changing rooms. Now it's much bigger. It's modern.
Okay, Ali, thank you very much indeed for that. Let's move over to one of our other players, and that's Daisy. Daisy, how long have you been involved with the club?
I've been playing at the cricket club for about 8 years now. I've been a player and a coach, and I was a captain for one of the teams last year. When I started, we weren't very big in the women's team, and Richard was one of the coaches. So we just come along on a Friday night, and we just, have a go. Over the years, we've developed, so we started picking up hardball, and then we became a girls' team. A couple of seasons ago, we started a women's team, so I joined that. And this year, we are going to have 3 teams for the women's, and then we've got 3 teams for the girls. Last year, we added a changing room specifically for the women, so lots of us play with the men on a Saturday or a Sunday, and we felt that we should have a change room as well, so that it was more inclusive. We play lots of local teams. We play Reigate, South Nutfield, Hawley, Dorking. We come together usually on a weeknight, and we all have a laugh, we all get on, and it's really nice and welcoming community to be in.
And what are you getting out of it?
Every time I go and play cricket, I'm reminded of how many people are there for me, and it's almost like quite a knit family. So we are all really, really close, and we all support each other. We're always there for each other. Cricket's a really inviting sport, and we all get on really, really well. So wherever you go, you'll meet cricketers, and instantly, there's something to bond about.
And it is a sport that you can play, inverted commas, in your own backyard, isn't it? With a couple of mates, or even, with some chalk against the wall or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You can play it wherever.
Let's move across the room to Colin and Martin. Gentlemen, you are slightly more experienced in the world of cricket, shall we say?
Not at all. I only started, I think, May.
Oh, okay.
And I started at Epsom Cricket Club. They played Fridays, and I could only do every other Friday. So I wanted to play more because I enjoyed it, because the company and the community and everything's so good. So I came here.
And this is walking cricket, is that right?
This is walking cricket, so you're not allowed to run. I think you get docked runs if you run. I know it's confusing, walking and running. When you bowl, you walk. So it's made for the more senior. The more senior people, and it's just absolutely great fun. I started at Epsom, so now I play for both of them. And the only problem is when Epsom plays Merstham, I have to decide.
Where are your loyalties?
I have to decide where my loyalties lie, and I think it's usually Epsom. No, it's usually Merstham.
And Colin, what's your affiliation and association with the club here?
Saw an advert somewhere, I think, to play cricket. I was always a football guy at Chipstead, under-18 coach for years and years and years, but always went to cricket, but never really played it. And I just wandered down here one Thursday afternoon, and there was about 8 or 10 of us. We just started and clicked, and off we went. And then we started playing matches, which is good. So we play Epsom and Wimbledon and various other teams. And then a couple of us were invited to play for Surrey, which was nice, old people, out in Purbright. And we played out a couple of games out there against all the other clubs in Surrey. So it's clubs we don't normally play against. Now we're a little bit annoyed because the rain is coming and we should be out here today and we're not.
Yeah, we should be really recording this outside, shouldn't we, on the pitch? But yes, it's windy and it's wet. And
We've been playing for 10 weeks or so at Donins in their hall, and we decided quite rightly to stop it because the summer's coming in August, maybe, apparently, and so now we've got a week off waiting for it to dry out, but it will. We've got nets, the facilities are great, so we'll be in the nets on a Tuesday night, hopefully, and then we'll start playing on Thursday mornings. It's really good.
I've asked a few other people this, but what do you get out of it? What does it do for your well-being, for your soul, for your mental health?
I played a bit of vets football, but the knees and that, it just gets to you, and you get to an age, very old, and you think, is that it for sport? So you start playing cricket. I'm not a great fan of the walking aspect because I just want to run, even though I can't. And you sort of get in a sort of a run, but you're can't run. And you get out, everyone plays, everyone has fun. You go for a coffee afterwards and have a chat and support each other, and it's exercise.
Let's go back to Richard then, finally. This must really please you, hearing all of these stories.
Kind of helped with all coaching. I took over the walking cricket last year, and that's developed massively. We still want to carry on pushing that. I was here last night for the disability squad's end of winter training session party. I started the girls and women's cricket. I've coached Jaden before. I played cricket with John. I've played cricket with Ali. I was involved in the organisation of some of the events for the old member that Ali was talking about. But my dad was chairman here 20 years ago. My brother was first team captain here. My mum's been involved. We've been at the club for 30, 40 years. And there doesn't seem to be anyone wants to take over. So at the moment, I feel like we could be here for another 30, 40 years. But it keeps improving. Everyone has a smile on their face. As we said earlier, the community comes up. We become the biggest and best pub garden in Merstham. And we have a lot of people that don't have anything to do with the cricket club, but come up here to socialise and enjoy the views that we have and the facilities we have. We will continue to develop and improving facilities. We've got a big project next year, which is £50,000 worth of money that's going to be going on some more drainage. So, lots of work going on behind the scenes, but it's worth it when you hear these comments and the smiles on their faces.
And if people want to get involved, how do they do that?
Contact someone else. No. They can email me at chairman@mersthamcc.co.uk.
And Richard, we're talking to you, but you've got your eye on the phone as well, because you've just had a notification come up. Tell me about that.
I have. We've just received confirmation that we've accepted our club mark accreditation for the year. So it's an ECB. It looks at how we control the club, make sure we're doing everything in the correct way. So we are accredited for another couple of years. So fantastic news.
Excellent. So that literally just came through.
It literally just came through as we were talking. So sorry I was looking at my phone, but it's quite exciting.
Of course, it was very, very exciting for them. So congratulations to them. And you know what? Just looking outside the studio window as I'm recording this, I'm hoping that the sun will eventually come to make all of their plans worthwhile. Love to support our local sports. So Merstham Cricket Club there. Next week on the programme, we're going to be hearing from Redhill Football Club. their kind of end-of-season report, how well they did, some of the most memorable matches, most memorable players, biggest score lines, that kind of thing, and also their hopes for the next season as well, as this season draws to a close, as we kind of move away from football and into cricket for a few months' time. And last week we heard from Wayne and Beth from Reigate Volleyball Club. Of course, got their training sessions at Dunottar School on a Tuesday night, and it got me thinking then, and you may have wondered the same thing as well, how come there is this huge stately home just outside Reigate and that High Trees estate? Who had that house built? We'll continue our story about the man who built the building that Dunottar School is now in a little bit later on in today's show. And, our archive shows have got even more, as you might imagine. Emma is one of the founders of Reigate Ladies Joggers Group. Hear how they started and their ethos and how it's not just for ladies in episode 14. Listen to our series of short chats with stallholders at a recent sustainability market in Reigate in episode 17.
Planet Reigate Stars. Thanking local heroes who are out of this world.
Time to sprinkle a little bit of stardust on a local hero, and if you like and love this feature, don't forget to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. We do it each and every week. You can subscribe to the show via your favourite podcast app. So this week, thank you to the lovely lady that helped out a woman in the post office in Redhill. She says it was the most stressful experience, and when finally I'd reached the end, both my cards were declined and I only had enough cash to cover a portion. I could feel my eyes burning with tears, and she kindly handed me the shortfall. The story goes on. I waited for her outside and she refused to take cash that I'd actually managed to withdraw or give me her name. So whoever you are, thank you so much for your kindness. You've no idea how much you helped a very stressed out mum. So to that mystery lady somewhere in Redhill, thank you so much from that stressed out mum. You are this week's Planet Reigate star. Later on this week, we've got our job spots and also we've got travel and weather together. And last week on the programme, let me remind you in case you missed it, we heard from Redhill musician Jamie, how he grew up in the area and went on to be a music producer, his mentorship of local young people and his hopes for invigorating the music scene right here in his hometown. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, you don't hear much about volleyball, but really seems to be thriving in Surrey. And mentioned Wayne and Beth, who are two of the coaches at Reigate Volleyball Club. So that's this week and last week. Let's complete the trio and talk about next week. Now, we've spoken to a few choirs in the past 30 plus episodes, the Unison Choir, the Reigate and Redhill Choral Society. Now, I've been to South Nutfield to speak with members of the group there, hear from members about what singing as a group means for them. Now, as an extra bonus, and this was really quite unusual, let me tell you what happened. I did my usual interviews in a kind of side room while the main choir was still rehearsing, and then walked back into the main rehearsal area and said thanks very much everyone, goodbye, and closed the door and went back to that original room, get my coat and get the bag and so on, and started making my way out. And then I heard a voice just down the corridor. Oh, are you there? Are you still there? So I said yes, and there was a lady following me from the choir, from the group, just as I was making my way out of the building, who said, "Can I talk to you?" And I said yes, and I thought, this is a bit unusual, someone running after me to do. You should have to press gang people. No, I don't. And so we did a little interview, and what she said was absolutely fantastic. It was brilliant. I really urge you to listen to next week's show so you can hear her story, as well as the stories of other fantastic members of South Nutfield Choral Society, next week on the Planet Reigate podcast. Also, Merstham Horticultural Society is 120 years old this year. Dave from the group has been talking with me about his involvement and what they can offer you if you've got green fingers, or maybe you want to get some green fingers, whether that's an interest to toil in the soil or prune a plant in a pot. There's a huge amount of expertise on offer, as we will hear. And as the cricket season starts, as we heard earlier, the football season ends. For every yin, there is a yang. I'm off to Redhill FC this week, and you'll hear their end-of-season chat with me next week on the Planet Reigate podcast. And now, part 2 of our events listing to help you plan your week in the Planet Reigate area.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
Yeah, here we go. Nothing been sent to me for Monday. That's the second week in a row there's been a dearth of things on a Monday in the Planet Reigate area. So we'll go straight to Tuesday, shall we? Here we go. New Learn to Crochet class at the lovely Plough Inn in Earlswood on Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30. So in this class for beginners and upwards, you'll learn to crochet the vintage granny stripe pattern, how to hold the hook and yarn, form chains, and the 2 most commonly used stitches, hook, yarn and printed pattern, all included to take home and practice. Soft drink and nibbles included during the class. Don't get greasy fingers with those nibbles, will you? And get them on your crochet squares and so on. Also on Tuesday at the Archway Theatre in Hawley, Constellations. It's their latest production, April the 30th to May the 4th, and then another run May the 8th to the 11th. Quote, every choice, every decision you've ever and never made exists in an unimaginably vast ensemble of parallel universes. This is kind of sliding door stuff here, isn't it? A chance encounter at a barbecue between a beekeeper and a quantum physicist. Is there a spark? You know what it's like when you get that spark with somebody else, don't you? And you feel, oh, you know what it's like. Well, I should certainly, there's going to be a spark at a barbecue between a beekeeper and a quantum physicist, isn't there? They get along, they strike up a relationship, or maybe they don't. They go their separate ways. Or do they go home together? Any and every future outcome is possible in the multiverse. It's a play about love and the complexities of navigating relationships. Tell me about it. This play explores the infinite trajectories that love can take to bring people together or pull them apart through fate, chance, and choice. Well. Well. There's something we've all experienced, isn't it? That sliding doors moment. What if? What if I'd done that? What if I hadn't said that? What if? Yeah, okay. Well, here's the enough from me. Here's the director, Mandy Dunford, about the show and the slightly unusual way it's been cast.
Nick Payne is the author of Constellations, and the way they write about relationships and the world is just exquisite. It's such a clever play. There is a lot that is repeated, a lot of sequences that are repeated, but everything is different and it's nuanced in a different way. It's just really interesting and exciting. At the heart of this play, it is about relationships, the warmth, the pain, the friendship, the loss, all of those things that you experience, but through the idea that maybe there's many different versions in a multiverse. And the Archway is presenting this in a different way to other plays that we've done because we have different casts performing on different nights. The play feels completely different with the different casts, and the Archway is offering a discount code. If you book tickets to see one cast, you can get some money off your ticket to come and see one of the other casts.
And the Planet Reigate podcast is proud to be official media partner with the Archway Theatre in Hawley. For more information and booking details, go to archwaytheatre.com or phone them on 0333 666 3366. That's archwaytheatre.com and 0333 666 3366. Okay, on Wednesday, a new social mobility group aimed at improving strength and balance is getting underway. It's aimed at keeping people moving and staying active. And walking aid check is available after the class as well. It's all called Stay Steady. It's on the first Wednesday of the month, and it started back at the beginning of this month, the 3rd of April. Goes on 10:30 to 11:15 at the Hawley Community Centre. Yeah, free community exercise class for the seniors over 60. The Reigate Trust helps people live well beyond diagnosis, and they've got some spaces available at their upcoming bereavement support group in Reigate. Starts on May the 1st, runs for 8 weeks. They got a break for half term on the week of the 27th. The course is free. It's open to anyone struggling with grief and aims to provide a safe and supportive space for people to talk openly and reflect on their emotions. So to register your interest or for more information on future dates and venues, contact Sarah on 07469 932 192, 07469 932 192, or Sarah with an H .Pattenden, Pattenden, at BrigiTeTrust.com. Brigitte is BRIGITTE, trust.com. All together now, 07469 932 192, sarah.pattenden at BrigiTeTrust.com. Thursday, the 2nd of May, a letter writing group. It meets the first Thursday of the month, so this will make it the first Thursday of the month. The event supports the charity From Me to You, and it's happening at the Posadero Lounge in Redhill. They got a table put aside there for the writing group, and everything's provided for you. Cards, postcards, writing paper and pens. And you can go along and write that overdue letter to a friend or family member, or write as an anonymous letter donor for the charity From Me to You, who send letters to people undergoing cancer treatment. All information about the charity and a few ideas about what you could write are available on the day. So Thursday the 2nd, 10:30 till midday, Kath_WH, Kath with a CATH _WH at hotmail.com. On Friday, Salfords and Sidlow Parish Council say they're going to be holding their YMCA East Surrey Wellbeing Walk locally. They actually rename it. They rebadge it as the Salford Stroll on Friday the 3rd at 10 a.m. Got a coffee morning straight afterwards as well, so you can go from one to the other. That starts at 11. Quite a busy day, Friday the 3rd of May, for Salfords and Sidlow Parish Council, because they're also going to be officially opening their community garden, ready for weekly sessions to start in June. So as I say, it all goes on. That walk, incidentally, the Salford Stroll, starts on Friday at 10, meet at 9:45 at Salford's Village Hall, where appropriate footwear and clothing for the weather. And if you want some more information on any or indeed all of those, Caroline, 07511 433 127 is the number. And as I say, that coffee morning is between 11 and 12:30. It only just squeezes into the morning, doesn't it? Free refreshments, hello. And energy saving advice. Go along with your friends, family, or go along by yourself and make new friends. Anyone of any age is welcome. Dorking group of artists have a spring exhibition. Now, I went along to this last year with my father and a friend, and it was absolutely fantastic. We loved it to bits. Spring exhibition, 3rd to the 6th of May, Friday to Sunday 10 till 5, Monday 10 till 4 at Betchworth Village Hall. Yeah, just opposite the garden centre there on Station Road. It was really fantastic. We spent probably about an hour there looking round, and it was certainly free last time, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be free this time. They certainly haven't told me of any cost implications. Yeah, okay, it's the Dorking group of artists, but they're coming into the Planet Reigate area, Betchworth Village Hall, between the 3rd and the 6th of May. Get down there if you can. Gatton Park has a programme of trails and tales for younger children. You can visit their website for more information, and that website is, well, you probably know it already. It is gattonpark.co.uk, and on the 3rd of May, Cave Baby by Julia Donaldson is their tale and indeed their trail as well. We look forward to the following Saturday, which is Saturday the 4th of May, and Pete has got in touch. A great opportunity to see 3 very different acts in a fantastic venue with an interesting history. It's the Double 7 Club in Salfords. Yeah, it's on Hanworth Road. There is Hanworth Road, isn't it? That's right, Hanworth Road there in Redhill. Martin Mickles is a modern-day guitarist in the legendary band The Sweet and has played in Reigate many times and is joined by Reigate's electro-pop act Pixel Storm and folk rock act From the Workshop, who've played in last year's Reigate New Music Festival, which of course we've mentioned already. £5 on the door. Starts at 8 o'clock, so get down there and support those acts if you possibly can. May the oars be with you. Yeah, because next Saturday is May the 4th. I see what they've done, Aqua Sports Company. May the 4th, May the oars. Okay, kind of works. They're going to be hosting a 1-hour taster session in sailing, windsurfing and paddle sports between 10 and 2. So I guess that's several 1-hour sessions, yeah, for anyone aged 8 and over, for any experience level. Yeah, it's all happening down at Mercer's. So get down there next Saturday if you want to know a little bit more about sailing, windsurfing or paddle boarding. And it's all being run by our friends at Aqua Sports at Mercer's. And you've heard about it on the Planet Reigate podcast. Places to go, things to do across the Planet Reigate area of Reigate, Redhill and Merstham, Buckland, Betchworth and Brockham. Now, last week we heard from Wayne and Beth from Reigate Volleyball Club on the Planet Reigate podcast. They've have their training sessions over at Dunottar School on a Tuesday night, and as I made my way to the sports hall to meet them, I got thinking about that main building and realised how little I knew of it. I mean, has it always been a school? Who built it? Why? Turns out the owner was pretty famous back in the day. Last week we heard the first part of our story of the life and times of Walter Blandford Waterlow. So now, let's go back in time and bring you part 2. Last episode, I told you how the High Trees Estate, the home of Dunottar School nowadays, was financed by Walter Blandford Waterlow, who lived there with his wife from the mid-1860s. He was a philanthropist. He helped develop Redhill Common, laid out walks, planted trees, and enlarged a pond for public bathing and winter skating. But just as everything was going so well, Walter's wife, Rebecca, died on the 14th of February, 1869. She was only 46. She died at High Trees and was buried at St Mary's Church in Reigate. Her tomb stands in the churchyard there today and is said to have originally have had lights perpetually burning on it so that Walter could see the grave from his mansion to comfort him. Two years later, and the 1871 census shows Walter staying at High Trees, living with one of his nieces for company. He's described now as a stationer and a JP, a Justice of the Peace, a mayor and a landowner. He's aged 51. There are 4 servants, a cook, a housekeeper and 2 housemaids. And Walter is in the middle of his tenure as the 4th mayor of Reigate from 1870 to 1872, and for a second term later on that decade. He's got many mentions in borough affairs, both in and out of mayoral office, but having had a rapid rise in public service circles, quote, he was later to suffer an equally rapid decline, though the circumstances leading to this are not known exactly. In 1876, Walter married again. So, why could that be a problem? Well, it's who he married. His brother's widow. Yeah, his brother Albert had died and his widow Maria was then living at Fairlawn in Redhill. There's still a Fairlawn Drive in Redhill today. But this was a scandalous situation because at the time such a marriage was actually deemed illegal. So perhaps not surprisingly, there's no record of it to be found in the civil registers, and there's not even a mention of anything that happened, any nuptials, any wedding, any announcement in the Times newspaper, and you would expect there to be because of course Walter's standing in society. It's likely then that if a church service had been held, it was in fact simply a blessing of their love and commitment as partners and had no legal entity. Of course, whatever happened, Maria wouldn't have actually had to have changed her surname. Walter then had been serving as a JP, a Justice of the Peace for Surrey, since about 1870. He was also appointed a JP for Middlesex in 1885. He'd been for some time Deputy Lieutenant of Surrey, was elected High Sheriff in Surrey in 1887, served as a Commissioner of Lieutenancy for the City of London as well. And in the 1891 census, Walter and Maria are at home at High Trees. Kate Wilshire, that's Maria's daughter, so Walter's niece, has been widowed, and she's staying there as well. Also the 11-year-old Dorothea Ferrier. Now that's Maria's granddaughter by her daughter Constance. There are 12 servants at the house, a butler, 2 footmen and a coachman, cook, housekeeper, lady's maid, 3 housemaids, a kitchen maid and a scullery maid, 4 gardeners tending the gardens and the grounds, and there's an engine driver operating the farm and the sawmill equipment. Walter, still serving as a JP, he's retired now and he's aged 71. Everything sounds good, doesn't it? But things aren't quite as rosy as they seem. Walter is 71. He's done so much in his life, particularly in the Reigate area. But now he's finished most of his civic duties, public duties, and he's fed up. He's more than fed up. He's depressed. He's more than depressed. He's prone to bouts of severe depression, and things overwhelm him. And on the 28th of August, 1891, he brings things to an end with a pistol. Now, some sources say that happened while he was out on his estate, but others say it actually happened inside the building itself. And he's buried alongside his first wife, Rebecca, in the family vault at St Mary's. After Walter's death, Maria went to live in a newly built house, Fairfield, still there today, in Beach Road in Reigate, and lived there until her death on the 17th of May 1916 at the grand old age of 92. Her gravestone can be found in the churchyard at St John's in Redhill, where she's buried alongside her mother. So, how do we remember Walter Blandford Waterlow? Well, he was Reigate Mayor, of course, and there's the house, and there's Waterlow and Flanchford Roads in Reigate. They run parallel to each other, just off Chart Lane, not far from his former home, and near the churchyard where he's buried. The High Trees estate was sold by auction in 1892. But what about the school? Well, Dunottar School was established in 1926 by Jesse Elliott Pyle in Brownlow Road in Redhill. That's just on the right-hand side as you travel from Reigate, just before Shaw's Corner. When it started up, it had just 3 pupils. It was named after Dunottar Castle in Scotland, and Jesse gave it the motto, which is translated from Latin as, "I give that thou mayst give." She chose for the school's crest a pelican mother nurturing her young. It's still the crest today. In 1933, the school moved to the High Trees mansion. Aerial pictures show the outline of the former ornamental gardens in front of the south terrace, now unfortunately all grassed over, and in the grounds an ornamental carriage drive bridge still survives, but nowadays it leads nowhere. Today, Dunottar is a thriving co-educational independent school for around 450 11 to 18-year-olds, with a £2.2 million sixth form centre opened in 2019 and a £4.5 million theatre and performing arts centre completed in 2021. The website says, "Our aim is to bring out the best in every pupil, enabling them to be the very best they can be. We aim to ensure that everyone, regardless of ability, is able to achieve excellent added value in their academic work. We pride ourselves on our warm and nurturing family environment, where pupils are supported and encouraged to succeed, both academically and outside the classroom. We offer a broad and exciting co-curricular programme with extensive opportunities for pupils to try something new, broadening their interests and rising to new challenges." Hope you enjoyed listening to that little bit of local history. It's like what we want to do here on the Planet Reigate podcast. Tell you how vibrant and exciting and brilliant and different it is to live here in the modern age in 2024 in the Planet Reigate area, but also to look back and find out where we came from, what made us the kind of people, what made this place the best bit of Britain, how it is today. And we've done that a couple of times, haven't we? We've looked back at the history, briefly, of Merstham Cricket Club. We looked back with Andrew a little bit earlier on in the show about the whole development of places like Reigate and what caused it to be better than some of our other neighbouring towns and villages. And also back a little bit further still with the story about the man who built the building that Dunottar School is now in. So hopefully you found that of interest. I like doing a little bit of local history, a bit of pulling different strands together. And it's the kind of thing where you go to yourself, oh, I know that road. That's why it's called that. I didn't realise that. Kind of lets a little light in on what we usually just kind of take for granted in the area, doesn't it? Next week on the programme, hear from some of the singers at the South Nutfield Choral Society and the extraordinary story of why a member's dog is their mascot. And we're off to Merstham to hear about the Horticultural Society there, who meet in Canada Hall. And then Redhill is our destination for an end-of-season report from the football club. Jobs this week, Natalie says, is anyone looking for some casual summer work? Because Natalie, this is really unusual. I mean, I've heard of this before, but you often don't actually hear about how you get to be one of these people. An invigilator for the exam season at the local school. You've got to be at least 18. A full DBS is going to be carried out. Employment checks, things like that. Any questions? Let me know. And if you want to get in touch with Natalie, let me know, and I'll pass on her details.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com.
Travel news, we give you the heads up so you can avoid the hold-ups. First of all, the M25 is going to be shut for a full weekend for the second time in a few weeks' time, between junctions 9 for Leatherhead and 10 for Wisley, from 9 p.m. Friday the 10th of May to 6 a.m. Monday the 13th of May. The diversion route from our neck of the woods, if you're going over to Heathrow, I would advise you didn't, but you'd leave at the M25 at junction 8, go north, left at Burheath Asda, past the playing fields on the right, down to Nescott, down to the roundabout, turn right, all the way up to Tolworth Tower, I know, and left onto the A3, 9.5 miles to the M25, and rejoin the motorway at junction 10. And there's going to be another closure a little bit later on this year as well. Ongoing roadworks in Reigate, Dover's Green Road, Cockshot Hill and Prices Lane through until October, Redhill, Earlsbrook Road until December, Salford's West Avenue till October. Two-way lights for the installation of grasscrete. Spoke about what that is a couple of weeks ago on Slipshatch Road in Reigate. And also we've got a few other things to tell you about here, which are going on across the Planet Reigate area. SES Water is working in Redhill, a couple of places, Common Road and Earlsbrook Road, to renew a water main. And those are ongoing as we speak for the next several weeks. Russ Hill Road is going to be closed for 7 weeks from the 6th of May for essential gas repairs until June the 28th. And the cheapest local petrol at time of recording, 143.9, is the price at Tesco, Gatwick Extra, Hookwood in Hawley. Travel and weather together on the Planet Reigate podcast. I'm Peter Stewart. So, We've got some weather facts and stats just coming in. Now, remember last Friday? 1.2 millimetres of rain last Friday. It's the wettest start to the year that we've ever had recorded in the Reigate area. The start of the year, 1st of Jan to the 19th of April, is according to Professor Weather, who compiles our weather almanac for us, 155.3 millimetres above the average. 155.3 millimetres above the average is the... Boy, oh boy, that is the stat from Professor Weather. And you heard about it on the Planet Reigate podcast.
Hidden treasure on the Planet Reigate podcast.
I've come outside to record our hidden treasure item for the Children's Trust for our shop on Bell Street, Reigate this week. It is a Waddington's board game, and it's actually called Blast Off. It's not one that I've come across before. So it says it's the game of modern space exploration and technology, and for 1 to 4 players. Now, I've checked and all the bits and pieces are here. At first they didn't appear to be, because there are a few little plastic icons that you move around as your markers, and one is set are called capsules, another satellites, but a capsule and satellite forms a spaceship. In other words, you slot them together. I've learnt a lot already. It looks like quite a detailed game, and it said it's copyright 1969 by John Waddington Limited, and also by makers of Cluedo, the great detective game. So hopefully this will ring a bell with some of our slightly more mature shoppers, people that want to reminisce. It seems to be an ideal activity for a Sunday morning. There are some little sort of plotters really, and they've got little dials on them. It's all very colourful. The board game has got the various planets marked around it, and it looks like you progress inwards possibly. There's a command area. Yeah, there's so much detail in this. I think the little booklet which is here, it says Into Space with Waddington's Blast Off. That's going to take a bit of reading before you actually venture into the game. So this, I think, will absorb the whole family Sunday activity, a wet rainy day, take it away on a holiday, etc., and all for the bargain price of just £10. So hurry down to the Bell Street Children's Trust shop in Reigate, find your hidden treasure and support children with brain injury.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
Thank you for the loan of your ears for episode 33.
Next week on the Planet Reigate podcast.
Yes, our guests are going to be South Nutfield Choral Society. Not all of them, but quite a few, including the extraordinary story from the member of that choir who came running after me just as I was leaving the building. It's a tremendous story. Please don't miss it. We're off to Merstham to hear about the Horticultural Society there. Happy birthday to them. Got a big year for Merstham Horticultural Society. And also Redhill is our destination. I'm off there in the next few days to record an end-of-season report from the football club. They look back at last season, look ahead to the next season as well. All that is still to come, and other features and stories from places you love and people you know on the Planet Reigate podcast.
The 60-second soundscape. Local natural sounds, uninterrupted.
And this week, before we go, at the end of the show, natural sounds from a place you know, from Leigh, and birds and a plane off Flanchford Road on a June afternoon.